Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And this week, walking, talking, raw nerve Ariela arrives in Mombasa for a big showdown with Binny. And unfortunately for Ariela, she discovers Binny's got a brand new motto: deny until you die. Unfortunately for Binny, every human being above the age of 18 can see through this pathetic tactic. So guys, we're about to discover this week that Ariela wants answers. She wants to know why Binny has been perpetrating some sort of cultissian behaviour. Ariela, you need to come and ask the Ebird because you won't get any answers from Binny. Once again, it's 90 Day Fiance the other way, Season 3, Episode 11, Ariela and Binyam. And before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Come on, join the Ebird family, it's fun over here. And if you enjoy the video, don't forget to smash the like button. Right, so without further ado, for what's almost certainly the final time, I give you Ariela and Binyam. And so last week, baby Avi had a very successful surgery in the US. And right after the surgery, Ari sat down with her mum and her rather too nosy, condescending and highly irritating sister-in-law, who really should spend more time washing and conditioning. Remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And my first impression of you is greasy. And so her mum and sister-in-law both sit down with her and they're trying to urge her to stay in New Jersey. And her sister-in-law says throughout Avi's life he's going to have potential medical problems and you need to be somewhere with excellent medical care. What are you talking about? Aside from baby Avi's hernia, which I'm led to believe is quite a common complaint with babies, there's no suggestion he's likely to have anything else wrong with him. And so if that's your only reason for Ariela staying in the US, it's not a very good one. And once again Ariela says, but we're building a life in Ethiopia. And Janice, her mum, pointed out the life that you're building in Ethiopia doesn't seem to be the same life that Bin is building in Ethiopia. And as per usual, I think that Janice is completely correct. I think Binny wants the life of the late Hugh Hefner. And even that old goat had the temerity to be upfront about his shenanigans. Binny's just deny until you die. And so then Ariela comes up with a crackpot plan of moving to Mombasa in Kenya. And she tells us there are 3 reasons that she wants to move there. Firstly, it's where the couple fell in love. I think you'll find, Ariela, it's where you fell in love. Binny fell in love with the only person he's ever been in love with in Ethiopia, himself. And then secondly, she says it's where baby Avi was conceived. Right. So one of your reasons for moving back there is because you two had sex there. That's literally all that means. You two had sex. Okay, let's ignore those first 2 reasons. What's your third reason? I think this is going to be a slam dunk. And then she lets us know her third reason is because Binny will be away from dark forces. What? Dark forces? Binny is the dark force. Oh, good Lord, Ariela. The only benefit of you two moving to Kenya will be for his friends, as they will be away from his frat house and his dark forces. And next up we see Ariela talking to producers. I have a bunch of family members and friends telling me that Binyam has been having parties at my house. There's people I don't even know who've been staying at my house. He's set up a studio in my house and also he's been inviting girls back. And then she also lets the producers know that her iCloud is synced to his so she can see the girls in the house, and also she's got access to his messages. And she said a girl called him and said, "Hi, do you remember me? We met at the club the other night." Oh dear Binny, I do wonder to myself, how the hell are you going to get out of this one? It does seem as if moving to somewhere neutral, like Kenya, might well be a good idea. I guess at least if she's not going back to Ethiopia, at least he still has a chance to save his family. And so Ariela rings Binyam to let him know the great news. And after a solid 24 hours of trying to get through to him, he finally picks up. And he said as jauntily as he could, "Hey, how are you?" And she said, "You obviously don't care." And Binny said, "Of course I care. Why would you think that?" And Ari said, "You haven't called, you haven't texted, and you turn your phone off for up to 3 days at a time." Guys, there's no mention of the iCloud sync or the messages coming through to her. Perhaps she still wants the ability to spy. She's shady, but I'd do exactly the same. And Binny said, "I turned my phone off because you always want to fight." And Ari said, "You've had girls over at my house, you've had people living there." She said, "Who's sleeping at my house? Who's sleeping in mine and Avi's bed?" Oh good Lord, Ariela, how does Binny know? Do you honestly think he takes names? He couldn't care less. Ariela, think about it logically. He met you at the bus stop and 2 months later you were pregnant. Does he seem like the kind of kid to take names? No, he doesn't. He seems more like a pump and dump kind of guy, unless of course you're American, and there's a couple of dollar bills in it for him. And Binny gives the old well-worn and very amateurish, you listen to other people, they don't know me. And Ari shot back, everyone knows about you. Wish told me about you and your friends. And at this point you could tell she was really irritated because he's just planning to completely deny everything, but she has really got a slam dunk with the photos that she's found and the messages she's got through to her phone. And so she decides to drop the bomb on him. We're moving to Mombasa. There's no way I'm coming back to Ethiopia. The only place I'll live with you is Kenya because you're surrounded by evil. And Binny said, I don't want to move from Ethiopia. Ethiopia's my country and I have connections for working. And Ari said, you have brought in not 1 penny from your work and not 1 penny from your music. Oh dear Binny, and the Ebirds heard your music. I have a very strong suspicion that you never will bring in a penny from this endeavour. But Binny fought back and he said, I don't like it when you're bossy. I don't like it when you tell me what to do. But Ariela said, that's the only way that you'll see your son again and it's the only way you'll get to keep your family. And the next time we see Ariela, she's packing up with her mum. And Janice tells us that she's going with her to offer support for her daughter and baby Avi. And so a couple of days later, they arrive in Mombasa and they go to their apartment and Ari tells us she's rented it for 3 months. But then she said something which is really strange. She said, if he can't admit what he's done, then that will end the relationship. And she also says that she hasn't spoken to Binny for a couple of days, so she doesn't even know if he's going to turn up or not. And she continues, she's so scared to see him. He's not the same person that she first met. Oh yes, he is, Ariela. He's always been a cheat. He's had a long history of it. Sion tells us so. His ex-wife said so as well. Wish his sister tells us so. And anyone who's ever met him or laid eyes on him knows this to be a fact. He's exactly the same person that you met all those years, months ago. And so next we see Binny. And he is actually going to meet his family in Mombasa. And we see him arriving at the airport. And he's wearing his hangdog expression again. And he says, she gave me no other option but to go to Kenya. That's not exactly true, Binny. The embassies and consulates of the world give you no other option but to go to Kenya. It's the only place where you don't need a visa. You really can't blame Ariela for America's decision not to let your ass in. Or anywhere else for that matter. And then he said her making this decision really angered him and he has no choice because his family are here. And he said, when I get there, I want to ask her, what's going on? That makes 2 of you. In fact, 3 of us, because I want to know what's going on too. But guys, I can't actually believe he's saying, I want to know what's going on. She's explained it as far as I'm concerned, very fully and in great detail. But just in case you're wondering, Binny, I'll tell you what's going on. 1. The moment she arrived in America, you were out with your friends having fun. 2. You've been to nightclubs almost every single night. 3. You've been giving your number to random girls at nightclubs. 4. You've been seen with 1 or 2 girls and her neighbours and her nanny and your sisters have told us so. 5. You've had some of these girls and some of your friends staying over at the house and you've turned it into a party house. 6. You've turned your phone off and you give different but yet ridiculous reasons for doing this, including being in the cellar and working on your music. 7. Ari saw pictures of her bedroom and she noticed that baby Avi's cot had all been safely packed away. Why? That, Binyam, is what's going on. But then again, you know all of this, don't you? And so Binny finally arrives and he knocks at the door. Ariela opens and they both stand there and guys, it's so awkward. They look at each other as if they don't even know each other. And Ariela says, hi, what's new? Oh dear Ariela, lots and lots of things. More than likely a new blood group for starters. He's HIV positive now. Sorry guys, I'm only joking. Although having said that, I would get him tested. I really would. And so Binny comes in, sits down, picks up baby Avi and starts playing and cooing with him and having a laugh with him. And Ariela said, this is the same guy that wouldn't even answer my calls. And is acting as if just nothing has happened. But I guess it was a really awkward environment. And I guess neither one of them hugged the other, so this atmosphere is probably down to both of them. But it is nice to see father and son playing, and you can really see that baby Avi is so happy to see daddy again. And then Janice, Ari's mum, said that Ariela's not very well. She's extremely tired and she needs to rest. And Binny says she looks tired. Go and get some sleep then. Guys, he's trying to get rid of her already within 5 minutes of his arrival. And then Ariela says, well, you look tired as well. And she looked into his eyes and said, very specifically, your eyes. They're yellow and red. Guys, yellow and red, what a delightful combination. The ladies of Ethiopia have some quite strange tastes, it seems. Some people like blue eyes, some people like light brown and hazel, perhaps a touch of green. But these girls seem to like yellow and red. Yellow for alcohol and red for weed. And Binny says to producers, I can't believe how distant Ariela's being. But when Ariela decides to go to bed to get some sleep, Binny completely ignores her, doesn't say goodnight or anything, and keeps on playing with baby Avi. And so the next time we see this couple is the following morning, and Ariela tells us their first night together was like sleeping next to a stranger. Really? Last time you slept next to a stranger, Ariela, you wound up with baby Avi, so it was possibly quite a fiery night. They decide to go for a coffee and a chat about their relationship. And so Ariela tells us that Binny always says he doesn't understand what she's saying when she's trying to question him, so she's taken the liberty of bringing a translator. Binny says he can't understand this, and Ari just wants to do it just for the drama. Binny, you're giving her more than enough drama. And guys, I think this is quite obvious that she's done it just so they can have a third person there and a free-flowing conversation. I think it's more difficult for Binny to just sit there, mute, and try to ignore her when there's another person present in the conversation, so it's quite a good plan from Ari, quite a good plan indeed. And so they sit down and Ari said, why did you never call me, why did you never text me, and why did you turn your phone off when I was in the US? And Binny said, I did text you. And Ari said only in response to my text. And guys, I find this really strange. If he was really worried about his son, you would imagine his phone would be on the whole time. And I honestly believe the only reason that he was unhappy with Ari going to the US for the surgery was because he couldn't go as well. And Binny said, I only turned my phone off when we were fighting. And I can see already what kind of conversation this is going to be. It's going to be a classic chicken and egg. Which came first? Well, Binny, I'll tell you. You turning off your phone and going out partying and clubbing all night came first. When she discovered you were doing that, that's when she started arguing with you on the phone. You simply can't claim that you turned your phone off just because she was always arguing with you. And Ariela countered with, I would text you and say, I love you and I miss you, and you'd still ignore me. People told me that you were seen with 2 girls in particular, and when you don't call and you're out every night at nightclubs, I put 2 and 2 together. I pretty much know what's going on. And Binny said, these people are my friends, and I made a studio at the house. You've got it all wrong. And then Binny says to producers, I didn't cheat on her, these are just my friends. Binny, we haven't forgotten the time when your ex-girlfriend Sion accused you of cheating right to your face, and you said a big fat nothing, and then you waited until later on with producers and said, she's jealous, she's crazy, I never cheated. So unfortunately, Binny, your denials mean jack shit. And then Binny said to Ariela, I'm just working and I came here to fix my relationship. Your neighbours and your friends told you wrong and they've poisoned your mind. Binny, you've forgotten neighbours, friends and your sister Wish. Has she got it wrong? Has she poisoned your mind? And Binny, to be quite honest, if all of this wasn't true, why aren't you flipping out and saying, right, let's get Wish on the phone now because she's telling lies? Why not get your nanny, or should I say your ex-nanny, Mimi, on the phone and have her repeat what she's told you to me because it isn't true? But he doesn't say any of this. He just says, it's not true. And Ari tells production, Binny is so defensive, it's unbelievable. But even if he didn't cheat, even if he didn't, he won't admit that his conduct was wrong. And I don't want to be with him until he admits it. And she finishes up by telling Binyam, well, I'm never ever going back to Ethiopia again because I'm really embarrassed of what everybody has seen. If you want to keep your family, you're going to have to live here with me, but you're also going to have to admit what you've done. But we all know that Binny is not about to do that, so basically she's giving him really what's going to turn out to be a virtually impossible choice. And Binny said, I want to be with baby Avi. Oh yeah, and I love you, my wife, I want to be with you as well. I want my family. And whilst I believe that he does, I think the main thing that he wants is kind of to have his cake and eat it. He wants his wife and his kid at home and then to just go out and run those streets. Binny, you've tried this once already and it's failed. You know you can't have both. Not many people can. But Ariela finishes off with a bombshell and she actually tells him, I will never be in a romantic relationship with you again unless you admit that your behaviour has been wrong. If you can't admit that, then that's the end of our relationship. And Binny was just shaking his head. And then Ariela started crying and she said, "I'm really sorry, I feel sorry for you. I know your history and I know what you're going through. I feel really sorry for you and the life that you're going to have." And that's where we end things for this week. So what does the Ebird make from all of this? Well, the first thing that really struck me right at the end of this segment was the fact that she was saying, "I want to try again and I've rented a house for 3 months so we can sort through our problems and be a family away from dark evil forces." But really it seems that she was going to Mombasa to actually say, unless you admit to what you've been doing and unless you admit to being wrong, then we're not going to continue this relationship. And she pretty much knows that he denies. He went out with Sion many years ago. They've finished. It's done. It's over. Yet still, he will not admit to cheating on her. It's extremely unlikely to happen. And Ariela knows this. So I've got a theory that she went back to Mombasa so that she and baby Avi could say bye to Binyam, not in his own country, so he couldn't actually undertake any legal process that would mean he kept baby Avi in Ethiopia. This was all to ensure that she wasn't legally vulnerable, and that's my take on it. He can't get to America, and so really the only other place that she could go to say goodbye, and that she knew that he wouldn't be able to pull some legal manoeuvre on her, was Mombasa. And Ariela said, "I could never go back to Ethiopia because of the shame that I would feel because of what's been happening whilst I was away." And whilst I don't necessarily believe that, I think it's because she knows he has all the support in the world and all his friends and family, and he's in a very strong position, and she doesn't want to give him that air of strength and that position of strength yet again. I guess in Kenya they're on neutral territory. But what was interesting about this was Binyam actually said, "Shame, what are you talking about? There's no shame." Really, Binyam? Remember back to when Leandro was there. From your own mouth you told us you didn't like Ariela walking around with him because you didn't know what the neighbours would say. You've done whatever she did times 10. At least you were actually in the house the whole time that Leandro was in the house. You waited until her back was turned for your shenanigans. And what do we make of the only real defence that Binny has put up so far about his cheating and all these girls being in the house? Now he can't deny they were in the house. He says, "We were just working. This was work." Binny, people don't need to sleep at your house to work. You do not work with girls overnight. And again, let's go back just a few weeks, and didn't you gleefully tell a story in a restaurant, witty raconteur that you are, that you pretended that your new girlfriend was an actress and she was going to be in a film that you were involved with, to Sion, when she asked you who she was? So I find, Binyam, that you've used that excuse before, and it wasn't very good last time. Any girls that you're caught knocking about with, you say, "It's for work." Work without any money isn't work, it's play. So in other words, it's for play. Yep, that's about right. And then my final thought on all of this is, when things get too much for Binny, he just says, "Don't get angry, stop being so bossy, I don't want to fight." You're not fighting, you're arguing, debating, discussing, whatever you want to call it. But these things have to be ironed out. You can't just say, "I don't want to fight," and so what? That means that we don't ever discuss anything that you don't want to discuss. Ariela's in an untenable situation because if you don't think that you've done anything wrong and that your actions were in keeping with a normal person and that you would do it all again, what's the point of staying with you? Because this is just set to happen again and again and again. But my very final thought on this pretty much goes back to what I said when Leandro came over. Binny was so embarrassed with his family and his friends and his neighbours when Leandro came over, and she acted in such a love-struck, Leandro is everything manner, that I think Binny was always waiting to say, "I don't care what I do, because look at the way she treated me." And honestly guys, I think that he thinks this is just what she deserves. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think there's more to Ariela wanting to go to Mombasa than meets the eye? Also, can anybody think of any good reasons why you just turn your phone off for days on end, knowing that Ariela has said, "If you turn your phone off, I will go mad. This is a problem to me. I don't want you to do it." Honestly, I think Binyam thinks that he's so cute and such hot stuff that he can actually turn the situation around with Ariela. But Binny, you really aren't as cute as you think you are. Ariela thinks that you're going to be a bad influence on her son. And do you know what? I make her right. So guys, let me know what you think in comments down below. And I'm going to get on with my next video. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would make Ebird a very happy Ebird. And also, please don't forget to smash that like button. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.